A while. I am super excited to be here with you guys. All right. Let's see. Let me know if it is going. Refresh the page. All right. We are now live. There's a lot on here that is kind of strange because the stream room is different and the stream setup is different, but hello guys. I'm super excited to be streaming. I think it's been like 7 weeks since I last streamed, and we have moved offices since then, and this new stream room is amazing and large and enormous. Is it really too sad? Is it really horrible? Like, hey, let's see what we can do. Like, alright. So, unfortunately, I don't have any of our cool Stonehearth gear, like, is sort of outside. But hey, we've got Tibbers and a Moo. Can I make this better somehow? Like, I guess our wombat is kind of outside. We can put these paintings, like, you know, like, strategically along the back wall. Good old Stonehearth posters. Let's see, what else? More Stonehearth posters. Okay. Is that better? Like, now it's slightly better. Let's see. Yeah. Alright, cool. It's like streaming with friends. Okay. All right. Yeah, the room is really enormous. I don't know like when we're gonna fill this room up, but it is easily maybe 3 or 4 times the size of the last stream room. The AC is actually great. Thanks for asking, Keister. It's kind of amazing that the AC is working now, which is really nice. This is like a little bit colder than I would like it to be, but that's universally true. It's not extraordinarily hot, which is kind of amazing. Or extraordinarily cold, which has also been a problem in our stream rooms in the past. It turns out that when you rent an office, it's not like renting an apartment. Like, there are actually laws like requiring that apartments have basic functionality like heat and like AC, well, maybe not AC, but at least heat and like a way to circulate air, like openable windows or fans or something like that, or vents. It turns out that when you rent an office space, none of that is true. And the company who rents the space is expected to sort of like take over the decorating and the beautifulness, the beautifying of the space. And in our last 2 offices, we really did not pay any attention to any of that. We were just like, oh my god, just give us a space where we can set up desks and make our game. And, you know, that was awesome, but it means that we lived without a ton of creature comforts, like working AC or like hot water in some cases, or bathrooms that were anywhere nearby. And so this space was entirely retrofitted and decorated for like the whole studio by Riot, and they have like a really crazy crack team that can do all of this stuff. And so they retrofitted our previous space and they retrofitted this space, so like from the moment that, you know, we rented it to the moment that we moved in, they like dramatically transformed it. And I just had never known that that was actually the responsibility of the person moving in. Like, I just thought all office spaces were kind of cool. That's actually not the case. It takes quite a lot of work to make an office building cool, and I'm very grateful that someone who is not me had a look at that this time. Okay, so our new office, the chair really pulls the room together. I think it's Tibbers, honestly. Like, Tibbers is very adorable. I don't play much League, to be perfectly honest, but I find the plushies that they make really, really cute. Like, and I mean, Amumu is so sad. Like, I feel bad basically every time I see him. I know, right? Everything isn't my responsibility anymore. We have an amazing amazing office manager now named Cam, and like literally when we interviewed her, we were like, have you ever had a bad day at the office? And she was like, I don't think I've ever had a bad day at the office. And she's so amazing, and she takes such good care of us. And like now, like when people knock at the door, like I don't run up and grab it because like Cam grabs it, like and Cam brings us food all the time, and we're very, very wonderfully spoiled. So I'm very grateful. Okay, so yeah, Cam is amazing. She's really, really cool. She's the person who set up an entire section for us called Campfire that I posted a picture of on the roadmap post when I did Desktop Tuesday a couple of weeks ago. Like, that was just a complete and total surprise. Like, she just wanted us to feel at home in the new office, and it was really adorable and wonderful. She's also incredibly fit. And does fitness classes for us if we want to have fitness classes. And it's like she has this instinct to keep us really well fed, and this is fantastic. Like, she's always making sure that we have enough to eat, and overstuffing us, to be perfectly honest, or arranging trips to the movies and stuff like that. Okay, let's see. So what are we doing today? For those of you who have been following along, you know that we have been working on Alpha 22 for quite a while. You have a Stonehearth campfire in your home? I already looked them up. Yeah, right? She's our office mom, and it's so nice. It's so, so nice. Yeah, so, yeah, the Stonehearth campground, exactly. The stones are reasonably priced too. Wow. That's really great. I would be completely approving of a Cam appreciation thread on Discourse. It's fabulous. What else? Let's see. So, we have been working on Alpha 22 for quite some time, and that has been because Alpha 22 is about conversations. The point of conversations is to celebrate things that have happened in your town through the Hearthlings. So, like, one of the things that we have always felt was lacking in Stonehearth is, like, let's say that you fought off a huge goblin raid, or let's say that you made an epic chair, or let's say that one of the Hearthlings rescued another. Any number of these things. That was never recorded anywhere. Like, maybe there's a journal entry about it, maybe there's some thoughts about it, but the journal entries are really stale, and the thoughts, like, you know, are about what's going on right now, not about what happened before. And so we felt like it would make your town feel more like your town, and make you feel like you'd actually accomplished things if there were other things in the game that celebrated your achievements. And we had lots of ideas for things that could work for this, for example, statues or something. But one of the ideas that we were really excited about was the idea of having your Hearthlings talk about things that had happened to them earlier in the day. And we realized that you know, this is more of like a commemorative thing as opposed to an active gameplay thing. Hearthlings now have a social satisfaction score that goes up and down, and like if they have had a lot of conversations, then their social satisfaction score goes up, and if they haven't had any contact with any other Hearthlings recently, it goes down, and it causes them to look for other Hearthlings to talk to. That is a gameplay system we might like do more with in the future, but right now all it does is make sure that conversations happen every now and then, and that these conversations show you something interesting about what that Hearthling or the community has done or experienced sometime in the last few days. Like, so the Hearthling, like Justin and Linda and Richard have been working incredibly hard on this, but the idea is that, you know, a Hearthling starts with a certain set of conversation topics, and as things happen to them, they express like interest or enthusiasm about other things. So one of the things that I want to do today is start making with you guys some of these things that appear in this thought balloon that comes up when the Hearthlings are having conversations. So as we go through this, call out things that you think might be useful, and we will roll them in. Okay, so the rule with the conversations Allie has made, this gorgeous template, is that they should fit and be proportional in a bubble this size. They should fit in the red section of this Photoshop file, and they should still be readable, like when, you know, we're down at like 5% or something. So those are the constraints, because you can see these conversation topics from like close into your Hearthlings, and also if you're kind of zoomed out. If you're zoomed way far out, I don't expect the conversation topic to still be readable. We're looking at what we might do to the bubble to make sure that there's still something interesting to see there. Change the title. Right. DevStream 273 conversation topics is what I think I changed the title to. So if that is not what you're seeing, let me know. But that is what I see on stream. Okay, so what kind of conversations are we looking at? And those of you who have been with us for a while may remember that originally we did this conversation document actually together on stream. The other thing about conversations that is kind of interesting and really cool is that people can have moods about the things that they talk about. So if they were chased by a goblin, it's unlikely that they'd be really happy about that goblin. The game actually records how they felt about stuff, or at least has some system of associating mood with conversation topics, so that you don't have like a Hearthling be super happy that they were chased by a goblin or something. But they also express mood, and Mally has some amazing animations that also express like how the Hearthling is feeling about the conversation topic in hand. And again, all of this is to help you feel like your town like is a living place, and that the things that you did mattered in it. Okay, so right, this was the doc that we put together before on stream, and also in this area is the actual full conversation system design doc that Richard put together and that Linda and Justin are implementing. So you can see, like, conversations actually, there's so many cool and complex things about them. I don't want to spoil them all. But there's lots of parts of conversation. Conversations don't all look the same anymore. Ali's experimenting with different ways of making the bubbles convey emotional responses. Today, we're just going to put subjects into the default bubble, which is the generic bubble, like not the happy or the sad bubble, because this one is the one that I expect that you will be seeing most often. And so these are the possible subjects that are possible at the moment to have a conversation about. And we need to get pictures for all of these. So let's see, not all of these are actively like things you can have a conversation about yet, because for example, as I mentioned last week on Desktop Tuesday, we've been thinking about darkness, but like there's no actual darkness gameplay, so I don't think that you'll actually have this. But like death could be like a tombstone, town status could be like, you know, maybe a picture of the banner or something. Cultists, which I think is really interesting. Certainly there's the icon for cultists, so we could use that, but I think for the most part at the moment, we are going to try to use pictures of things that are in the game, because that way it's super extensible. Like, let's say that you modded in your Bruno Supremo, you modded in like coconuts and turtles, like that way it would be easier for you to create conversation topics based on your coconuts and turtles. So yes, drawing is so hard. Let's see. You did. I'll refresh. Refreshing's important. You bet. Put the emojis in the bubble way too far out zoom so you can still... Yeah, that was actually something that that Ali was working on. Like, what if there were emojis in the bubbles? And she was actually thinking about how emojis were really appropriate for this kind of thing. There's a little bit of troublesomeness because you might conflate the emojis with actual like mood going up or mood going down. Conversations can affect your mood, but you can have a negative conversation about a topic. Like, let's say that you both feel super down on goblins. You can have a negative conversation about goblins, but that can still raise your mood. So it was a little bit unclear, like if we just put happy faces and sad faces in there, like what that would convey. So she is looking at alternate solutions for what happens when you're super zoomed out. It would be cool if they talked about future features we want in the game. It would be like talking about their dreams, goals, and things they want to achieve. That's actually pretty cool. I don't actually know how they would encounter those future features to get them added to their concept of things that they could talk about, but that is a great idea. I wonder how easy it'll be to add new conversations. I'm going to add one for surfing for the archipelago. That would be pretty cool. Hopefully it is not that hard. Justin is hard at work at an interaction system that should make it a little bit easier to add new topics of conversation and also other things that cue off of interactions you have in the game. But you can ask him about that when he streams in a few weeks. Let's see. Cultists could be a hooded face. Indeed. It would be kind of like, there are cultists in Frostfeast. Maybe we could borrow them. Carrots should totally be a conversation topic. conversations going to string together? Like, will Hearthlings react to each other's topics? Yes, actually. So, like, there's a lot of stuff here, but, like, the conversations are actually put together dynamically. Originally, our conversation system had you pre-script, like, Hearthling does this action, and then Hearthling responds with this action, and we felt like that produced too few static conversations that didn't fully, like, create a sense of naturalness. Like, you would always be seeing the same 3 conversations over and over again. So Linda and Mally, like, worked with Richard to define how a conversation has multiple parts, and there's multiple kinds of animations that can go in each part, so they can combine basically infinitely. And it creates a lot of really interesting looking conversations, and you never really know what you're gonna get. And Hearthlings like pick subjects sort of like on the fly, and they kind of react to the subjects that are spoken about. This, well, okay, I should say that this is all what we've planned. Like, it might not work actually when we try it in gameplay. We haven't finished it to the point that I could show it to you, and we haven't finished it to the point that we can test it, but these are some of the ideas that we've had that we hope will be there when it all comes together. I feel like I should just put that caveat in there just in case, like, we actually do this and it turns out to be terrible, and it doesn't actually fulfill our gameplay goal of celebrating your town or whatever. But this is what is going on in the background right now. Yes. Okay. All right, let's see. So these are some of the things that we want pictures of from inside the game. So this is going to involve opening these files in Cubicle, taking a picture at the correct scale for the conversation bubble, and saving it into this PSD. Okay, so like it's like you might get a weapon thought, a weapon conversation topic if you craft, equip, or carry a weapon. You might get a clothing thought if you craft, equip, or carry clothing. Wooden furniture, cactuses, bushes, trees, beds, medicines, flowers. We were trying to create like categories instead of requiring that you make conversation topics for every possible noun in the game. Let's see how that goes. But like we have, like, for example, conversation topics for every kind of animal that exists in the game and every kind of monster. So let's actually start there, since I think that that's relatively concrete and might be easier. And if you guys have pictures that you'd like me to try using, I would be happy to take them in. All right, so I'm just gonna leave this over here, or maybe I will move here. We'll do this. Thanks, Windows. That was not what I wanted. All right, but you can see these guys over here. Okay, so if you have suggestion pictures, feel free to shoot them on over. Non-Killer 2011 says, are there going to be more combat classes like last one, like Wizard, Warlock, Rogue, etc.? That would be really interesting. I think if you look at our roadmap, you'll see that there's a section for revisiting combat. We want to make sure that you feel like you've been challenged in your town, and you can imagine that. Well, basically, I think we should take a close look at our existing combat classes, figure out what purpose each of them serves, and then see how to enhance those purposes with more classes. I hear like the biggest rustling sound. Like on the other side of this wall, there's a spider that's the size of my entire torso. But I'm sure it's nothing. I'm sure it's fine. Let's keep going. If I get eaten by a spider on stream, at least it will be hilariously entertaining and documented for the internet. Gotta love the new office. Okay, how do we do this? Let's see. We go into the game and start looking at all of our objects. Spider wants in the game. Spider wants in the stream. Alright. So what I'm doing over here is opening up the game. Like, it's just this really creepy, like, crackling sound that's coming from what sounds like the other side of the wall. And I know that we added all of the sound baffling onto the wall, and I don't know what's inside the walls, because, you know, I wasn't here for that. There could be spiders in there. Okay. Let's see. Let's render scenario services UI. Entities. That's fine. We can't get there right now. Monsters. Okay, so we wanted, and well, we don't actually have alligators, so let's start with entlings. Forest. Okay, well, okay, so we do have an alligator, but I don't think it's actually in the game yet. Let's start here. Probably a carnivorous squirrel. I learned that was a thing from Stonehearth. Well, it's just, and Mally says we have an alligator, and it's just that I see, like, Richard has put alligator here, and I see that there's an alligator here, and so it's like, oh, well, you know, it has in fact been a while since I've played the game, like a whole 2 days or something. I suppose it's possible that there might be an alligator in it that I did not know about. Okay, that was the ent. My bad. I'm looking for the entling. There is a Varanus, like a separate Varanus. Alright, entling. Wow, it's been a long time since I've used Cubicle. Okay, so I feel like Allie's sample was a goblin kind of like facing to the right. So let me take some pictures, some versions of the pictures of this entling and see what we can't figure out would be a good readable version of it. Let's see, we've got, let's go. Okay. This is a bad sign, guys. If Cubicle takes 5 seconds to render something as a PNG these days, or on this computer, this is gonna be a very long night. Hello, Cubicle. It's okay. You can, in fact, render this as a PNG. It doesn't have to take this long. Seriously? Alright. Let's see. Let's make a new folder for today so that we know that we are doing this in the correct location. Dev stream, new folder. Entling convo. Alright, so now we go over there. And then resize this guy. So that he fits in the red box. Alright, well you can kind of see that he is an entling. Super tiny, so that's kind of exciting. God. Allie was like, this is in the best case. I also think, you know, if you remove the red, what do you get? Super tiny. Man, I think it's more like you'd probably be seeing it like at this size. Okay. Press print screen and paste it into the image editor. Yeah, I feel like you could do that, but then like you could do that, but then you'd have to cut out the back of Cubicle. No. Anyway, okay. I guess another question is, what happens if you made it the entling straight on, like this. Okay, good. Less dangerously long. Okay. So maybe it was just the first time. Alright. What happens if we did this instead? Would this look better or worse? Oops. It might be the case that we might just have to collect a bunch of these, like, and like see what they look like all together. Like, I mean, I think what's weird about it, actually, is the fact that you don't see entlings from this angle ever in the game. You always see them sort of like from the top, and you see them slightly at an angle. And so it's weird, but like, it kind of makes me want to say that the conversation versions of these guys should be somewhat similar to the way that you actually see them in the game. Like, but like, if it was too much at an isometric angle, then like you'd only see the tops of their heads. So I think that's probably why they're a little bit skewed, so that you can see them a little bit like you're looking down at them from the top. Right. Let me just try this one more. Render as. Okay. So I feel like this is a failure. This front on, like, is definitely the like, oh, this is, like, it's like the most distinctive shape for the entling, but it doesn't feel quite right. And this one feels better to me. And if we did this, if we just grab that one more, let's find out. Okay. Bring back my red square. Gonna need a coconutling pick. I agree. Radiant Mally says definitely like the downward 3/4 better. Yeah. Downward 3/4 view? You guys agree? Alright. You're the one that commented the invasion idea and you'd like to know how to think of it. Remind me what the invasion idea is, if you don't mind. I've had a busy day and have some trouble remembering things sometimes. I like to think it's because, like, it's just that I like to think it's because sorry, new group from layers. It's because I'm super busy and not because I'm growing old, but, like, you know, it's it's an occupational hazard. I hear that is a thing that happens to people inevitably. You commented to the YouTube video. Yes, I apologize. Just please remind me here what your vision idea is. Just trying the top half of him, that way it's larger and maybe better to see. That is a good point. Ali has tried this with the goblins too. Let's actually give that a go. And it's a little weird, but let's just try it. I feel like he's not an entling without the leaf. Like, you also want his teeth, right? Like, what if it's just this? Okay, let's try this. I think what's gonna be weird about this is it's gonna cut off one of his arms. And like, why is the conversation bubble cut off? Like, well, let's try it and see what it's like. Hey, Coaster's Paul. Thanks, Shy Def Gamer. I really find it adorable also. Front on, no arms, no legs would look like. I feel like front on, no arms, no legs would be too close to this, like whereby you like don't see it that way from the game. So if a Hearthling gets too far from the base, he invades monster lands and they will fight back. I see. So like there's the monsters have a zone, and if you go too far into that zone, they will attack you, that sort of thing. Okay, so imagine he's here. Ali wanted him to be in the red zone. Does this look weird? Because he's like kind of cut off. I think I see why she did this with the, why like she went from the goblin head to the whole goblin torso, because you do kind of have a profile on a guy, like when you see more, when like you see his whole body, but like this way you lose the entire bottom half of the profile, because the, like, imagine iconography. Like at a glance you want to see the shape of something, right? And you want to be like very distinct, like, oh, that's this shape, and you want to be able to recognize that's this thing. And to do that in a small space, you want to use as much of the space you've got as possible. And so in this case, we trade off a zoom, like, oh, we can see the Entling's face clearer, but we lose the bottom half of his body, and so therefore we lose the bottom, like, one whole dimension of his iconography. So, like, his silhouette becomes less clear, would be my guess. Like, so I think it's a good idea, and I think it would work, and this is why we only show the top, like, it works when what you want is to see, like, their face or their eyes or the details, but I think in this case, it might be better to go back to the one that was more 3/4 view, and you get all of him. Cut off the arms and legs. So, like, it's just his body is dark and really doesn't really add to it. Would the outline be better without? Not crazy about them being chopped up. Let's see, the silhouette is nice with the whole body. Instant recognition. Yeah, I think that's what it is. And it's not as polished looking insofar as, like, well, why, like, if the bubble was different, if the bubble, like in a JRPG, you know, like there's a bubble and then there's a face above it, like the face, like the torso of the person is behind the bubble, and so therefore it makes sense that it's cut off. But the bubble doesn't have a bottom. Like, in order for it to be cut off, you would have to, in order for it to be cut off and make sense, whoops. Thanks, Photoshop. No, I don't want to crop. In order for it to be cut off and make sense, you'd probably want to do something like this, where it's like, oh, the bottom of the Entling hits the bottom of the bubble and that's why you don't see it. But in this case, if, like, the reason that it wants to fit into the red square is because there's some bleeding going on, and, like, you want there to be room to, there's some bleeding going on, so if the Entling is too close to the edge of the PNG, like, its shape will start to vibrate with this, is my guess. And the red square makes sure that it's in the middle of the bubble and less likely to do that. So yeah. So I think this one's still the winner, for me, layer 3, but let me know what you guys think. Just a headshot, no arms, no legs, but yeah, the front on would get rid of the top light wood. Yeah, that part, right? 3/4 of just the head. Don't lose any body parts, just make the profile smaller? I'm not sure what you mean by this, Max Green 24. Oops, no. Like, do you mean make a smaller Entling? Well, anyway, I will keep going. Feel free to clarify. And I will also straight on maybe some photo editing to remove the body. The minute that we get into photo editing for all of the topics, we are, like, in trouble. You notice I'm not even putting a stroke on these things? But yeah, see, if I remove the body, like, so first of all, I think straight on is hard to read because you never see this Entling straight on. And if I had to Photoshop all of the things that I want to have as conversation topics, like, I will leave that as an exercise for another day, I think. straight on photo editing, but make it fit. Like just this part, it would look like a skull, I think. Like, and because I mean, we actually do reuse the same shape a lot. You know, the really funny thing, you were completely right, Squidbit. And I think part of the difficulty is that many of Stonehearth's shapes are actually pretty basic. So like, I mean, if you see so like, this is totally fair for the Entling. Like, blocks of wood are really blocks of wood. How do you know what is a bed and not a bed? But in any case, you'll see when we get to other things, that there are as many complications to complex guys as there are to simple guys, because complex shapes have like other problems, basically. Whoa, I didn't mean to do that. Oh, cubicle. I'm just gonna close this without saving it. No. Don't save. Okay. Cool. Alright, stone golem. Here goes. If we like the 3/4 view for the Entling, let's try the 3/4 view for the stone golem also. Let's see. Get him as big as possible. Render. Render as. Stoneling. Alright, so close this one. Alright, how does this look? I actually really like that without the red. Like, it's like suddenly, oh, there's such a relief, there's more space to him. I don't know why, but these guys all look kind of like Skeletor to me. Alright. Just do the head, but at this specific angle. Stone Entling. New monster. Yeah, I feel like if it's just the head, just the head, but at the 3/4 angle. I think I like this better, because you still get the whole, like, basically if you get the head, and it's just the head, like, it suddenly has a different profile than what you see in the world. And I think it's kind of, if like you're looking at the stone golems and the Entlings and they're running around and they're tiny on the screen, like maybe if it resembled what it looked like in the world, you'd have a better chance of recognizing it. Okay. Cool. All right. Maybe cut off the top of the Entling instead. I think that if you cut off the leaf at the top of the Entling, it would stop looking like an Entling. Like, one of the things that is true about, like, you know, catching profiles and stuff is that you have oh, this is gonna be exciting. One of the things about catching profiles is the thing that you're wearing on your head, like the hat, your hat or whatever, like is one of the like strongest visual cues that tells you what it is, because the game is for the most part played 3/4 view or top down, and so it's really hard, or at least like you have a massive benefit if you can identify something about the head, and I think that the leaf is actually pretty good about that. But it's a good point to compare them. Let's see. Get inside that res gate. Let's actually compare the Entling and the Stoneling here, just one to another. Entling, Stoneling, Entling, Stoneling. Like, these do feel like they're part of the same family. Like, you can see they've got the green eyes, they've got mostly the same sort of like shaped face. Like, the Entling does look a little bit smaller, but that doesn't seem inappropriate because the Stoneling's kind of chunkier. The stone golem should be head on. Kitty Cat Honey says you'll be cheeky and say make the speech bubbles larger. These are actually quite large. So the speech bubble is actually this big. But like when it actually appears in the game, it will only be a bit bigger than your Hearthling's head. And so that is about how far you've zoomed in. And I think Bruno Supremo, you were asking earlier, aren't they the same size? Actually, they're not. So there are some things in the game, like when you have a notification that your house is stuck or that you've harvested some trees, those toasts are fixed at a certain size. But we didn't want the conversation bubbles to be fixed at a certain size like those other toasts, because they're not actually, like, really important. Like they're not like, hey, I'm signaling to you that you need to pay attention to me right now. They're actually something that is like sugar. Like, it's like, oh, this is cool, I'm discovering this thing about my Hearthlings if I pay attention. But if they were really big, like and they were happening a lot on the screen, they would be like competing for your attention with the stuff that actually told you whether your game was going well or not. So like with the hearts in the combat and other things. So we wanted to actually scale the conversation bubbles up and down based on how far you'd zoomed. So if you zoom in, they'll be bigger. If you zoom out, they'll be smaller. Let's see. Stone Golem might need a better pose. With his arm up like he's swinging at something. House of Move, cartoon silhouettes. Yeah, even though the leaf takes a lot of space, it gives the model most of its character. Wow, this is really good. I agree. You know exactly who these people are. Admittedly, they are posed, so like if they were all in T-pose, like if they were all just like with their arms out, like it would be a lot more boring, I think. Unfortunately, I can't actually animate the Stone Golem inside Cubicle. I could try taking a picture of him, like, sort of like in motion, but you're kind of right, like he would probably look better if we got a picture of him like as he was like you know, doing his like grand slam or something. Well, let's start with one that is like the same, at the same size angle as the rest of them, just so that we have some baseline. No. And then we can always see if we can't update it and make it cooler after we have done this first pass. Okay, so get my red background again. The red background is actually also really helpful for like helping you discern where stuff like whether something's centered or not. So yeah, it's time to make software just for posing Stonehearth characters. If we wanted to pose them, that would be another pickle. Alright, let's not do that. It's like, okay, wow, like at 5%, it's just a block. Hopefully Ali will have a better solution for what goes on when we're super zoomed out. But yeah, it's like, is that a castle? Is that like a rock? I'm not really sure. Like, that at least has a stronger profile. Alright, I will try the suggestion that one of you had to make it like head on, and let's try that too. I still think this is gonna look weird. Like, because, like, who sees Stonehearth characters from this angle? Like, I think there's something kind of compelling about it. Like, hey, if our game were an 8-bit game, like, or a 16-bit game, this is exactly what it would look like. And that's actually kind of cool. I would love to see that game in which we took exactly our cubicle models and recreated them in like a 2D, like Legend of Zelda, original Zelda style sort of thing. but that is not the game we're making today. Not just that, but like, really fill that square there, guy. Does that read better? Like, I think you can better tell kind of like what he is, but like, would you know it was a stone golem? Thoughts? Layer 5 or layer 6? Let me turn these into a group. Stonehearth 8-bit edition. Maybe from the front, but a slight top-down slant. The head-on angle kind of kills all the shading and makes it look a bit cheap. Well, they're ahead of me. Wait, no? Okay. I kind of want to make Stonehearth 2D, but you don't... I don't want you to all have to sue me. You could play with the stuff. Stonehearth Adventure Mode, 8-bit, we're an intrepid hearthling battling through levels. 5 for you. Let's see, what was 5? 5 is the top down, like this? Yeah, right. Let me try one more, where it was the front, but there's a little bit more, like, shading like that. I suspect the shading is not actually doing us any favors, like, in top down, because you just have more colors and you're like, why is this thing this color? But let's try it. Like, well, let's try it. Render as. Okay. Here we go. Right, back over here. Gotta get my safe zone back. He's ever so slightly rotated to the left, but that's probably fine. Okay. I think 6 is out, but 5, 7. Oops. 5, 7. Thoughts? A part of me kind of likes 7, like I feel like that is pretty clear, but a part of me feels like 5 is kind of more interesting. Like 5 actually looks like a mountain. 7 is like, what? Like why is there a hole between, like it calls out the fact that his profile has a hole between his left side, the left side of him, and his arm. Like, and that's not really what I want. I want you to think Stone Golem. You like 5 and 7? Can you get the angle between 5 and 7? 5 is nicer to look at, 7 is weird. Alright, cool. Let's stay with 5. 5 goes on the top. Alright, next. Let's close some of these windows so that Photoshop isn't like, ah, you have everything open. Let's make sure we save this so that, you know, we don't have a power outage and lose all of our cool work. Okay, let's do a couple more. Let's see, Stone Golem, Little Stone Golem, Wolf. Good old Wolf. Wolf with armor. Let's see. What did the Confluence page say? Yes, wolves. Alright. Ha! Okay, this is gonna be challenging. Like, gotta get the dark. Like, 'cause he just... Alright, well, let's just try a bunch of things and see what happens. 'Cause he's gray and the balloon is gray. So I think this is gonna be kind of exciting. Alright, let's try this for starters. Safe box. Does this say wolf to you? Like, I do like how you can see the dark part here under his jaw. Maybe sideways? We can give it a try. Okay. I think straight on angles make for more recognizable silhouettes, but the different style of it would stick out. Really bad if you only did a couple that way. It'd look good if you did them all from the same head-on angle. Versus, if you do it face-on, it contrasts from all the other in-game models, which is kind of bad. Does it have to show the whole wolf? I would like to try that, because we did the cut-off entling, and the whole entling looked better. Because, again, you get more, like, parts of the whole... You get more parts of the model. Maybe sideways. Make sure the fangs are clear. Like the wolf head as the conversation topic. Halfway between that and the front would be better. Alright, so this is version 1. We will take many pictures. And then let us try this. No! There goes cubicle again. We are right above the train, so like every time the train goes by, like the building shakes a little bit. That's always exciting. Cubicle, why are you being so stubborn? Let's see. I honestly feel like this is kind of, like, it'll feel really muddy if I do this, but let's give it a shot. Render as. Okay, how does that feel? 8 or 9? We can also try with just the head. But I feel like that has many of the other problems that we talked about. So if we wanted to try with just the head, like, why would just the head work? Great. Why would just the head work on the wolf and not on the antling? And it might be because the antling's smaller, but anyway, let's give this a try. Again, like, you might run the risk of not recognizing it because it is like just the head, and like, but maybe a wolf head is easier because you're more used to seeing wolves in the world. Okay. So you are more certain of what you're looking at? The antling is basically already just the head, right? Okay. That is a fair statement. Alright. How's that looking? Layer, new. Group from layers. Okay, so how are you guys feeling? You like 9. You really prefer 9? 9 looks good? Okay, what was 9? Alright, so between 8 and 9, I'm hearing lots of, like, people for 9. How about 10? Let me turn this off. 8, 9, 10. 8, 9, 10. Keep in mind that you might see this also, like, kind of small. Hopefully not that small. Alright, 8. Oh my god. 9. So, like, 8, I can tell that that's a wolf. 9, I have no idea what that is. 10, maybe it's a face. Maybe it's some kind of monster. So I will say that one of the reasons that this works is because this is actually how you might see a wolf in the game, like if you're super zoomed out. But 8, 9, 10. Keep in mind that it might be super small or super big. Like here's 40%. Like that. Realistically, you're not going to see it in the game much bigger than this. Like imagine if it was that big, your Hearthling would be like this size on the screen. So 8, 9, 10. Alright, so let's see. We got 1 vote for 10, 2, 10, 10, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you didn't know it was supposed to be a wolf, you might not know 10 was a wolf. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 8 is good at that size? Yeah, right? Like, so then let's see, 9. And then 9 or 10, 9 or 10. So 10 definitely by yours, your comments. Alright, but up close 10 looks really good, but you like 8 far away, changing to 8, changing to 8. 9 and 10 being indiscernible at a distance. It's funny, isn't it? I think that's why like pixel art is really interesting, or really any kind of like art when you're doing glyphs and icons. It's like, well, a thing that looks amazing when it's at 100%, you're like, whoa. Alright, you honestly prefer 8 now. 8 looks better from far away. Okay, I'm having trouble tracking this. Let's do a straw poll. Let's see. Which wolf? 10. Just the head. 10. 3/4. 9. 3/4 high. 8. Create poll. Alright. Okay, so keep in mind that you don't get to pick, unfortunately, what angle, like, the player is seeing, what angle you guys are seeing this in-game. Like, you might see it super close, you might see it super far, like, probably you'll be seeing it about this size. Like, if you're really zoomed in, you might be seeing it much smaller if you're zoomed out. And again, we got 8 over here. Let's look at 8, really zoomed out. 9, 10. Let's look at it a little bit bigger. 8, 9, 10. And then, oop, let's see. This is about your right size. 8, 9, 10. Are these going to be the placeholder images until Allie gets the time to do cutesy art versions, or are these planned to be permanent images? These are permanent, insofar as Allie is not going to make icons for all of these guys, as far as I can tell, for now, so that we can have lots of conversation options. Like, imagine that if we wanted to have a conversation about, like, every kind of food in the game, if we chose to go there, or if you wanted to mod in a conversation, like, we would like you to just be able to take a picture of a thing you already have, as opposed to having to make a specific icon for it, the way that she does for traits. So, these may not be the final icons, in that Allie may go back, or Mally or Linda or someone may go back and take a better picture of the cubicle model and replace these pictures that we're seeing right now, but the intent is to take pictures of things in the game and use them instead of making super high render ones. So yeah. Alright, you know it's bad when I get the link in chat and vote before I hear her finish typing the options. Alright, cool. Let's look at the results. Alright, 3/4 high, 8. Just ahead, 10, and 3/4. Wow, that's really, really striking, guys. Okay, cool. So the strong silhouette wins. Huzzah. Alright, I feel like we are making progress. Okay. 707, let's do one more. Finish off the forest monsters. Alright, we did these guys. Alright, or move on to the other ones. Goblins, kobolds. The kobolds are like so chewy, it's gonna be kind of difficult. Let's do an ogre, because ogres are cool. Alright, thank you for voting, everyone. I think that's very useful. Okay. I logicked everyone into choice 8. You know, I think that might be fine. If you don't argue from a strong premise, how do you know? Like there are some things that you can pick based on like instinct. Like you can look at it and you can be like, yeah, this feels right to me. But if you have to say this feels right to me for like 500 images, or if you have to say this feels right to me but your team has like 10 people on it, like, and all 10 people are making images, like you need to be able to reason with each other about why one thing is better than the other. And that's actually something that I feel like is a really big deal at Riot. And it's like, oh, like you don't just do something because it feels right. Like you do something because you have a strong reason for doing it. Because otherwise you've got an entire game, you've got an entire like office, an entire company full of people who are all like deeply passionate about video games, and there's like 2,000 of you, and like how do you ever make a decision ever again? Like it's super hard. Alright, so here we go. Here is good old ogre. I'm gonna get him to fit in here. Might need him to come out a bit. Sorry, ogre. Come forward. I'm not gonna save this. I love this guy. I was still working at VMware when Tom was modeling this ogre on stream, or really, like, he did a speed, he made a video of this model sped up, and I just remember thinking, if I could work on this game, I would be so incredibly happy. Like, it would make my whole life awesome. And here we are! So I think the moral of the story is when you're working on a game, you should share it with the whole world, because you never know. Like, you may change someone's life. They might be super happy thereafter. Alright. Not that I wasn't happy at VMware. I had a really good time making virtualization, like UIs for virtualization. But, I mean, I could be making, like, this stuff is what I thought, like, oh, like, we could try gamifying, you know, virtualization software, or I could make a game. Like, and I was making management software, so, like, it was hilarious, because we were like, oh, like, why don't we make a management sim? And then you could take all the principles that you learned from making management software and make that management sim. Anyway. Okay. So, hello, Ogre. You are a good friend of mine. You've changed my life multiple times. You might be a little bit too foreshortened in this picture. What do you guys think? Let's at least make a save of this, but I would like another version of this ogre from slightly more like this, I think. Let's try that. Oh, we'll need to bring you further forward so that Cyclops isn't in your face. And let's move you to the side. Remind me to not save this. But yeah, like, he just looks so dumb and so happy. Like, and I mean, it was like years between when I saw Tom model him and when I actually saw him in game. And you know, Linda animated him, right? Like, with the stomp and the cloud of dust, and It's like, oh, alpha and omega. Okay, cool. I love the ogre door breakers. Alright, let's try this one also. Render as ogre 2. Save. Oh, your furry friends in the background chair. Indeed. That is Tibbers. This is a Squishable, and behind the Squishable is a Moo. And Tibbers is like a doll from a plush bear from League, who's owned by Annie, the scary pyromaniac girl, and she throws Tibbers at people, and he becomes like an enormous bear and eats you. So that's always fun. And the Moo is like a mummy, but he's crying all the time, and like when he cries, he hurts you. These are things I've learned since joining Riot. Let's see. So did it make my whole life awesome? Well, I'm here right now, right? This is pretty awesome. The ogres always remind me of Rocky Dwayne in the yes! Dwayne The Rock Johnson is inside Stonehearth as these ogres. Wow. I actually really like The Scorpion King. I like that movie, and I really like, I like the movie, The Mummy 2, in which we have the Scorpion King. But I really, really like the Scorpion King movie, which is just about Dwayne The Rock Johnson before he becomes the Scorpion King and like gets cursed. I think that movie is incredibly classic. I like a lot of movies that are below 20% on the tomato meter, and that, I don't even know if that's one of them, but like it is in that spirit. I love it very much. I am super impressed to hear that you use VMware at your house. I apologize for any awkwardness I may have contributed to your life through a UI that may or may not be difficult to use, but I'm glad that you've got lots of VMs. Just delete the other models temporarily or move him down, you bet. Dumb and happy are the signifiers for Stonehearth enemies. Yes, I agree with that. Except the kobolds. Maybe we need to like help the kobolds be less Dwayne The Rock Ogre Johnson. Now we need to you know, I think it wouldn't be completely inappropriate to find an ogre named The Rock in the game. I mean, we already have an ogre named Mountain, right? So like this would just be a slightly smaller ogre. I'll let the VMware user know it is all my fault. Yes, I apologize. I apologize in advance. Depending on what version of VMware you're using, it might be mine or Tom or Tony's fault, or Chris's fault for that matter, but Tony and I worked on different projects, so depending on what version of VMware you're using, we are probably responsible for some version of your UI and its issues. Okay, between Ogre 12, Ogre 11, Ogre 12. Ogre 12, definitely. Okay, let me leave that one on. I'll make this into a group. Layer new, group from layers. Okay, awesome. Let's leave this here. All right, we are at 7:15. The CGI is amazing in the Scorpion King. You guys say 12 for sure. I agree. He's much more readable. He's much bigger. Like, and I feel like it's funny because the big monsters, like the ogre and the large stone golem, like you do tend to see them from a slightly less, like, grave camera angle because they are bigger monsters. So that might help us figure out, like, how they look there too. All right. I am winding down. So gonna save this for Ali so that we can save all of these guys out as PNGs. Actually, we actually need to save them as Targas. They scale better inside the game. But I am super happy to be hanging out with all of you. If you have any last questions for me about Alpha 22 or about anything that the rest of the team is doing, I'm happy to answer them for the next 5 minutes. Yes, we are part of Riot Games. Riot bought us in April of last year. So we've been part of Riot Games for a year now, and it is pretty amazing. Not in the least because they have amazing interior decorators who can turn like a bare bones, super scary office into like this beautiful, well, in this case it's a gray box, but like, you know, there's some other prettier things out in Campfire outside. How many additional classes, ballpark, do I think we're gonna get? That's a really good question. I definitely know that I personally would really like to see Animal Trainer, Magma Smith, Geomancer in the game. And we know that they're on the schedule, like, or at least we know that we would really like them, and we know what kinds of roles we think that we'd like them to fulfill. I think that there are there's probably like, if I think about, okay, what is going on in town, there's probably room for some more combat classes. Like, you know, we don't have any spellcasters, like we don't have any like ninja assassins. That would be kind of neat. Like, I could imagine some more crafters. I could imagine some more general kinds of workers. Like, I hear lots of people would like fishermen. So let's just say between 5 and 10, but like, I don't know for sure. I know that before we get to new classes, probably we will dramatically overhaul the existing classes, or at least take a closer look at each of the existing classes. After we do this, which is conversations, our next plan is to spend a really long alpha. Alpha 23 is going to be really long. I'm just warning you in advance. It's going to be really long. I want to iteratively go through the building editor and upgrade it piece by piece. And Nikki is already starting work on that. Chris is starting work on that. When Chris is done with his current work, hopefully the building, right now the entire building infrastructure is like really hyper defined. So like, you have to have walls and foundations and floors and roofs. And Chris is changing it so that it's more abstract. And that means that everything is more just remembered and depicted as a series of voxels behind the scenes. And that means that the walls and floors and roofs, all those things can move up into the UI. But right now what happens is anytime you make any change anywhere, the UI and the entire infrastructure of building has to change. And so if they're more separated from each other, if they're more abstracted, then it'll be easier for everyone to code in and easier for everyone to fix bugs in. But the other huge benefit of what he's doing right now is the ability to remodel existing buildings and like maybe also partial destruction. So I would like Alpha 23 to be a really long alpha where we work together through all of the issues in the UX of the building editor and just make it good finally. Like, this will be the third version of the building editor, and Chris has just told me flat out that he like does not want to go to one more PAX and have to apologize to 5,000 people for why the building editor is so bad. And it's sad because it's not even him to apologize. He's worked on building, yeah, but like, we are all complicit in the building editor. Okay. Let's see. Stonehearth update, ETA. So in terms of updates, like, conversations have taken a really long time, and I'm really happy that they have, because conversations actually touch all the AI that we have. If you want to have a conversation about something you ate, or something that you fought, or something that you did, like, you have to have plugins in all the parts of the AI, and you know our AI system is a bit of a beast. And so as a result, Justin and Linda have been working really hard to make conversations robust. So hopefully we'll have something for you relatively soon, but like, no guarantees as to when that is, because, you know, when we touch this stuff, like it like, who knows what happens. So I've seen conversations working in game, but they're not quite at the level that I would like them to be before we can actually demo them, as you can see, because look, we're making the subjects now. So now they're having conversations about emptiness. Hello, Talia says, we definitely need babies in the game. Babies, unfortunately, as Geister said, are not going to be in the game because it's actually really difficult to... There's an entire set of ESRB rules that correspond to what happens to children in video games, and so there would be an entire set of special cases, like children can't be burned to death, children probably can't be slaughtered by goblins, like, that we would have to consider if we had kids. But yes, I would go ahead and try modding them in. Max Green says, is a King Mare class a good idea? I think it would be kind of interesting, honestly. Richard has an idea for like noble hearthlings, like special hearthlings who have special abilities that you only get if you construct your town in a certain way. And we'll see what that helps with. And yeah, what would that class do? Like, noble hearthlings might just not... I don't want Dwarf Fortress nobles who are just whiny, but like, I mean, according to Justin, who plays a lot of Dwarf Fortress and really enjoys it, the best part about nobles is like getting them to commit suicide in interesting ways. I really don't see that as a use case for Stonehearth, but you never know. Yes, glad you were looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it too. I would like an E for everyone, but we'll see what happens. It's so far away, I'm not going to think about it now, but I already know that kids would make it super complicated, so. Let's see. So goblins could kill your whole village but the babies, who would then be left all alone. What the what? I do not know what I said that caused you to react that way, but I'm looking forward to it too. Yes? Okay. Alright. Let us wind down for tonight. If you would like to continue to hang out, you can find me on discourse.stonehearth.net as always. And next week is probably going to be Mally doing some more art on the stream. I always have a really good time hanging out with all of you guys, so thanks for coming and hanging out with me. And I look forward to seeing you all online. Alright. Good night, everyone.